Welcome to video number 2 of Building Bridges, where we cover chapter 2 titled, If Only I Knew Then What I Know Now. In chapter 2, I share a story about a note I passed to Tina in high school, a horrible note. It was horrible, where I shamed her for having an abortion. And so often when I thought back to that moment, I felt so much shame myself for being such a jerk. At the time, I identified myself as a Christian, but to be quite honest with you, at that time, I did not have a personal relationship with Jesus. I identified as a Christian culturally. I went to church every Sunday because my pop said you're going to church every Sunday, but I didn't pray to God. I didn't read the Bible. I didn't just really know what being a Christian was all about. And, every day I'm still learning. But I don't say that to get myself off the hook, because I knew even in that moment writing the note, I knew that was mean and cruel, but I did it anyway. Why? Because I thought I was better than Tina, because I didn't struggle at that time with premarital sex and being faced with having an abortion. So today I just want to cover 4 points that I want to highlight from chapter 2. Point number 1 is that judging is God's job. If only I knew then what I know now, I would have known that God's job is to judge Tina, and he will judge her. The thing is, God will judge me too for being a jerk to Tina. True. And here's the thing, is that as Christians, we are to use judgment. The book of Proverbs is all about wisdom. And we are to use judgment. For example, use judgment as, well, I think I should go down that alley. Or, gee, I think I shouldn't go down that alley because it's dark and it looks like dangerous. We're to use and exercise judgment, but not be the ultimate judge, because that remains God's job. Our job is to love others. Now, I know that's God's job too, but I want to differentiate, because sometimes we can go all Judge Judy on people. And, if I'm feeling tired or weary, and I know I'll go on to Facebook and I'll start, I sense I'm judging people. I know I'm judging people when I start getting to this little attitude of, I'm thinking not kind thoughts. And I want to encourage you today to remember that it's God's job to judge. Now, our job to love is not a small role. And I really want to highlight this, that if you truly love someone, you'll love them in truth and grace. Perfect love has truth and grace. We're not really loving someone if all we're doing is just speaking constant truth to them. Truth is so important, because often that's what changes the direction of a person's actions. But we need grace, because we need to know that it's okay not to be perfect, and that we can just do our best and think that, that's good enough for God. And that if we have love, if we love someone wholly, it's to give them grace and truth together. Now, point 2 is that shame does not produce permanent change. Shame can produce temporary change. But if you and I are really committed to this whole bridge building perspective and our ambassadorship, we're not after temporary change. We're on mission for eternal change, to point people to eternity and not accept temporary as good. We want to go for permanent and eternal. So, I'll be very honest with you. I sent that note to shame Tina. That's horrible. And I'll be honest with you, I felt shame for years after, just years after. And it took a good, only 2 decades to finally come to the point of finding her. We weren't close in high school, and, we weren't close after. Obviously, she would not want to be close to me after being such a jerk after high school. But I found her on Facebook, and I sent her a private message of a sincere and heartfelt apology, because I felt horrible the way I treated her. And, if I only knew then what I know now, studies show that 20 to 25% of all women have had an abortion. And if only I knew then what I know now, is that women that have had an abortion need love. They need love to heal and restore. I don't know what it's like to have an abortion. I know what it's like to have put myself in a position where that could have been an option to face. But I don't know what it's like to have an abortion. I only know what it's like to have 3 miscarriages, and that was horrible. I don't know what it's like to have an abortion, but I do know what it's like to be not having a baby in my arms. And I've seen a new wave of grief of a lot of my friends that have had abortions, that once they start having their families of their own, and even some that haven't started having families of their own. You know, the truth of the matter is becoming a mom changes you. I know this. Jake and Cal, their lives, I mean, my life has changed dramatically. Dramatically. But not having my first three children changed my life a lot too. God developed and birthed a lot of empathy and compassion. Compassion so critically needed. Compassion that perhaps maybe I wouldn't have had for Tina, knowing that not becoming a mom changes you. And so I needed to send that apology to her. And if she lived close, I would have tried to probably maybe meet up and face to face. But I wanted to send this to her. And if she accepted the apology or not, I just knew that would be the next right thing to do. And so I want to read this Bible verse in Matthew 7, verse 3. And it says, "Why do you look at the speck of dust in someone else's eye when you have this big plank in your own eye?" You see, at that time then, the big plank in my eye was pride and hypocrisy. And I don't want to say abortion's big, small, whatever. I just don't believe. I'm a pro-life person. I don't believe that's what God wants. Now, I have friends that don't agree with me on that. And, you know, here's the thing. You don't have to agree with someone on everything or anything to build a bridge. And often God allows people that are different than us to help us not be the same. And the truth of the matter is, if we could just ask God and be just courageous bridge builders and ask God to help us take the plank of our own eye, whatever our sins are, help us take that out. Because, you know, the truth of the matter is, if you think visually, now I'm going to use my emery board. But if you think visually, if we had a plank in our eye, we can't look at who we're supposed to build a bridge towards, because sin is blocking our vision from seeing someone holy. But if we're courageous and we ask God regularly, because I sin regularly, I don't like to celebrate that, but I'm human. And if we ask God regularly to help us take the plank out of our eye, we now have the building material, the humility to lay the planks down so we can bridge over to get to the other side of the person who has the speck of dust in their eye and share the hope of Christ with them. So point 1 is judging is God's job. Point 2 is shame does not produce permanent change. It may produce temporary, but not permanent change. Point 3 is that my sins and my struggles are not better or worse than anyone else. And that we have to remember, just because I haven't had an abortion doesn't make me better than. How about my sin of pride is worse than everything, because it separates me. If I think I'm better than, I can't be a good ambassador. I can't represent the love of Christ. And then the 4th point is a sincere apology can change the direction of a relationship. A sincere apology can change the direction of a relationship, and minimally, it can change the direction of my relationship with Jesus. Do you know why? When I sin, I often want to kind of hide and isolate. And when I come forward and apologize to God with a heartfelt apology, it takes me out of isolation and brings back that healthy connection. Now, sometimes you're going to apologize to people and they don't accept your apology. Just rest knowing you did your best. But I really want to encourage you that as God continues to help us, learn how to be more effective bridge builders, there's going to be tons of times in our life. I can't tell you how many times I've said, oh, if only I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. Maybe today you need to go apologize to someone and drop the plank out of your eye and exercise humility. Just know an apology can change the direction of a relationship. And if people are asking you, if you go apologize, like, why are you apologizing now? Why don't you just share that God convicted you and that you love Jesus so much that you want to do better and Jesus has changed your life, and maybe they'll want to know who this Jesus guy is. And maybe that could be an opportunity where you can share your faith. So today, as I close out this video, I want to ask you this one question. Where do you see hypocrisy in the church, in the Christian community, in your own life? Now, I'm just going to say this and then close out the video. Do you know sometimes you see hypocrisy in other people and it's really in your own life, but it's just easier to point out in someone else? And all I'm saying is that Often we have hypocrisy in our own lives. It's too painful to see. Make sure you surround yourself with some good people that can help you and help you be a better bridge builder. So as I close out this video today, I really want you to ask yourself and think about and pray about, where do I see hypocrisy? And not only that, maybe it's some hypocrisy in your past. And, if only I knew then what I know now, you can apologize and make things better. But think about where you see hypocrisy. Is there hypocrisy in you? And then all I can really encourage you to do is change that. Day by day, person by person, relationship by relationship, moment by moment, change that. Okay, I'll see you next video.